I am the president of South Carolina PTA, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you to today's program. First, if you will please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. We are so incredibly excited to welcome all of you to our historic home and to celebrate the 100 years of service with us. As I look out through the audience as well as behind me, I see a lot of familiar faces and friendly faces. As an organization, we have spent the past century working with organizations, elected officials, and individuals to further our mission for the kids. There are a couple of groups that I just want to specifically acknowledge. First of all, can all of our past state presidents please rise? I would also like to acknowledge our current board of directors. Would you please rise? And the last group would be the members of our House Committee that have poured their heart and soul into planning today's festivities. Would you please stand? Our organization has served the children of South Carolina with heart and passion for a century. Following the incorporation in March of 1923, the first president of South Carolina PTA was Mrs. George Luntz. And between us, there are 40 men and women that have been charged with leading this organization. We have all been fortunate to have incredible records of our journey as an organization. And in a little while, we encourage you to walk through our home and follow that journey and see all what PTA has accomplished throughout the years. As you do so, you will recognize that the fashion and the topics for advocacy may have changed over the past 100 years, ever so slightly, but the passion and love for kids and for serving kids and teachers has remained steadfast. Parent engagement is perhaps even more vital in the new world we live in post the pandemic, where topics such as mental health initiatives and how to engage and keep students safe in the world of electronics are on the forefront. We are so proud to show one of the highest rates of membership growth in the nation, thanks to a passionate group of local and state volunteers. I and the rest of my board of directors hope to engage with all of you to have good conversations after the program and talk about how we best can serve kids together and, of course, celebrate. So, with further ado, I would like to introduce Mr. Charles, or Chuck, Sailors, as we all know him. He is a former state president of South Carolina PTA, as well as the former national president of PTA. Also, the past president of the South Carolina School Boards Association, and currently serves as a trustee on the Greenville Board of Education. Chuck's dedication to children in South Carolina and nationally spans decades. I could probably go on for a long time about all the accolades of Chuck Sailors, but I'm going to stop and turn over the microphone to him. So let's give him a round of applause.
You know, in baseball terms, this reminds me of Murderer's Row down here. It's good to see some of you guys. Thanks for coming today. On behalf of our National President, Anna King, I want to thank all of you for your service to this association. Whether you work at the local level, the state level, or anywhere in between, the service that you bring to the table each and every day, the voices that you share, and the advocacy that you perform helps every student in this state, regardless of whether or not they are or are not a member of or attending a PTA school. Our work is vital. For the first 100 years, we did some amazing things. And moving forward, I certainly hope that with the challenges that we face each and every day when it comes to those that would like to do things against public education, that we can stand as a strong point to oppose that, to make sure that our students and our teachers are served well each and every day. I don't follow my notes anyway, so who cares? We have partnerships in this state that are vital. We have with us today Scott Price, who's the Executive Director of the School Board Association. Our association and his, as well as others, have always worked well together when it comes to going down the street and telling the elected officials that represent us exactly the positions they need to take. And so I encourage each of you, and those that are not here that you might be representing, to please take an opportunity to share your concerns, your ideas, and your thoughts with those that we do send to Columbia. The struggles we faced for the first 100 years were always ups and downs when it came to advocacy and legislative matters. But what we're facing today and what we will be facing in the near future pales in comparison because of the people that would like to take away from public education the very things that our work over these years has helped provide. So I thank you for that service and encourage you to continue in that work. I always enjoyed my time as a PTA volunteer. I often joked that I would never look at a hot dog again with a straight face, because that's how I started. My son was in the first grade. He's now almost 40. Thank you very much. 40 years old, and he was this when I started. And we were at the dinner, at the fundraiser at the school, and we go through the hot dog supper. Every one of us has been there. And there's this one lady behind the counter serving all the food. And my wife, Teresa, looks at me and says, well, are you going to at least eat with us first before you get back there and help her? Because she knew what was thinking. 2 weeks later, I was the fundraising chairman for the school. And to this day, even after serving as national president, that was the toughest 2 years of my life when it came to PTA. But there are a lot of things that South Carolina does greatly. Phil and I served on the national board together for a couple of years. He can testify to the fact that when it came to South Carolina PTA, a lot of states in this country, even those that were larger than us, had a great deal of respect for South Carolina PTA because they saw what we did and we did it the right way. And we were successful. And so I, again, thank you for the opportunity to have served you and those that are not here. It was a true honor and a blessing. And I thank you for being here today and wish this association success in the next 100 years. Thank you.
So thank you, Chuck. Certainly an inspiring and very true message. I was the popcorn lady at my local unit. That's why we make such a good team, Chuck and I. So, former U.S. Secretary of Education and South Carolina Governor Dick Riley and family could not be with us due to Joy's family commitment. But his remarks will be shared by Tom Hudson. So please welcome up Mr. Hudson.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Hudson, and I am Executive Director of the South Carolina School Improvement Council. And certainly want to say congratulations to the South Carolina PTA. The partnership, collaboration between PTAs and SICs is so very, very important to the lives of our schools and our students. And so congratulations on 100 years of that, and we look forward to many more. I'm privileged to be able to share some remarks from Secretary Riley and also have them here framed so that the PTA can proudly display this within the PTA house here. But let me share these words with you from Secretary Riley. Dear South Carolina PTA friends, I regret I cannot be with you in person to celebrate your 100-year anniversary. What a milestone of great work. And as many of you know, I'm only a decade younger than the South Carolina PTA, and I'm delighted that we have been such great partners for all of my adult life. My late wife, Tunky, was always so active in the PTA once our children entered school, starting at Augusta Circle Elementary in Greenville and continuing on. I followed her lead, and we both served as president of that PTA over the years. It was through our strong PTA involvement that I became so keenly aware that education policy at all levels must include the voice of parents and teachers. That is how we kept Augusta Circle open in the 1960s. That is how we got the EIA and its funding through the legislature in the 1980s. And that is how we will continue to work toward improvement in all of our South Carolina public schools for all of our South Carolina public school students, not just some, but all. So keep up your good work, South Carolina PTA. Your advocacy for our children's high quality education will make us a stronger state and a more secure nation. Thank you for your service. Your friend and partner, Dick Riley.
So thank you, Mr. Hudson, for sharing those comments with us today. And I can only say that without the partnerships, we stand alone, and we don't stand alone because we stand for children. As you hear the remarks from people today, you will notice that these organizations that we partner with, we all have the same mission and vision for the South Carolina children. So thank you for that. So every year since 1956, an inspiring educator in our state is selected as the Teacher of the Year. Mr. Dion Jameson was selected as the 2023 South Carolina Teacher of the Year. He's a 9th and 10th grade English language art teacher in Greenville. There is also somebody who's really proud over here. That's also from Greenville. And he is originally from Orangeburg. And he is here today to share some remarks with us. So please welcome him up.
Thank you. So 100 years, I don't think I've ever been to like a 100th birthday party, so I'm really excited to be here. Thank you. So first and foremost, one of the reasons as to why children are successful, right, is the strong partnerships between the school, the community, and of course the parents. And so I learned that very early on in my educational career as a 4th grade student when I forgot to bring a soda bottle for a science fair project to school. And so I'm sitting in class without this soda bottle, and my math teacher, she finds out about this, and she calls my grandmother, and she tells my grandmother that I did not bring my supplies to school. And so my grandmother, being who she was, you can imagine how that conversation went when I got home that day. And so what I really realized in that particular moment was that when there's a strong connection between home and school, that students can thrive. I truly believe that it was that one particular conversation, because I can say that one particular conversation that I had with my grandmother, that stern conversation with her, that had led me to this life of success, right? And so the most important factors to a student's success is that success or that connection between the school and their home environment. And so my grandmother did not necessarily know a lot about education. She wasn't the most educated woman, but she did know and recognize and value the importance of an education. And for that, she was extremely involved in my educational career, as you already know, right? And so it was from that moment that I really realized that it wasn't necessarily what I knew that was going to get me to where I was going to go, but more so the attitude that I possessed as a student. And that was the one thing that she wanted to instill in me. And so from 4th grade and beyond, I did exceptionally well in my courses, and I do attribute that to that conversation. But it was because I started to develop this positive perception towards school because of my grandmother had this positive perception towards school. And so that led me to the following year winning the science fair finally, because I brought that soda bottle to school the following year. It led me to graduating in the top 5% of my graduating high school class. It led me to become a Bill Gates Scholar. I believe that has also led me here to this position as the South Carolina Teacher of the Year. And so having that same outview, that same outlook as a teacher, and looking at that from a teacher lens is the reason why I work so very hard to ensure that I'm forming partnerships with parents of my students. Allow me to share one quick story with you about a student in my class. And so in my first 2 years of teaching, I had this student, Sarai, and this was in Orangeburg County. And Sarai revealed to me that she wanted to become a professional writer. And so I knew that in Orangeburg County, we didn't necessarily have any role models for her to look up to, but I knew that it was important for Sarai to be connected to community people and to individuals who would lead her to that particular goal that she had set for herself. And so I knew that I couldn't just connect this kid, this 7th grader, to these writing camps and these communities that could help her achieve her goals without the help and the assistance of her family. And so that's exactly what I did. I built a strong relationship with her parents, with her grandparents, and with any other stakeholder within her educational sphere that would lead her to the life of success that she so aimed to have. And so a few years later, after Sarai has graduated from the middle school, she goes on to high school. Her grandmother sends me a screenshot of a text message stating that she had gotten into a writing camp at the Governor's School for Arts and Humanities in Greenville. Fast forward a few more years later, Sarai is now a student. She's a senior at the Governor's School. She is the student body president. She's going to write this amazing novel, and she has gotten accepted and will be attending the greatest university in South Carolina. Hint, it's not USC. She'll be attending Clemson University. I may get some flack for saying that, right? Go Tigers, right? It's okay. I promise I don't have any beef with USC. I'm just an alumnus of Clemson. That's just the school that I happen to go to. But I say all that to say that partnership, that partnership is extremely important between teachers, between parents, between schools, between the community, for each and every one of our students to be successful. It shouldn't just be a few students that have that access to their to the schools in terms of that parent and that community partnership. That's for all students. So I'll end by saying the same thing that I started with, right? The most single important factor in a student's success is that connection and that partnership between the parents, between the schools, and between the communities. Congratulations, South Carolina PTA. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Dion. And I think we can all give him an amen on that. So, our mission is to be the voice of students, as we've heard from many of our speakers today. And as such, this celebration would be nothing without actually having a student being part of the speeches. So we are delighted to have Ms. Shania Williams here today. She's a student from Wade Hampton High School in Greenville. And she is the Reflections Award Merit winner in the Literature High School Division with the theme, Show Your Voice. Please welcome up Ms. Williams to read her piece titled, Language.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shania Williams, and I'm honored that the PTA has invited me here, and I am also honored to share my poem with you all. So here we go. She knows that the words that lay languish on her tongue do not dare depart. Instead, they will retreat back into her throat to be swallowed once again. They will trail down her spine only to be dissolved by the acids in her stomach and excreted through her brown skin. Because she knows that her language will not survive the frigid climate. Hollyhock does not grow in the winter. Her timid words mutated to thunderous clouds. She cannot win. Someday, her words will survive the solstice. They will grow abundant and bewilder this fall's harvest. They will be remarked as the vessels of wisdom and passion that they truly are. But today is not that day, but this day will come. She knows.
Wow, impactful. And it also shows the talent of the students that we serve here in South Carolina. The very reason why our organization exists never really ceased to amaze me when I hear these kids. You are all here today, as we have said many times already, to celebrate with us. And I have asked one of our past state presidents, Ms. Joyce Marshall, to give a brief overview of the history of South Carolina PTA. So please welcome one of our own, Ms. Marshall.
Thank you all, and good afternoon. Thanks to Tucky and Governor Riley for my being here. had it not been for a statement I made at the local PTA. I said, I'm going to raise some money to pave the parking lot. Had no idea how much it cost. And they heard about that statement. We raised money, but the city was embarrassed, so they paved it for us. So we didn't have nothing to do with the money. You know, if you raise the money for something, you have to spend it. So that led to Governor Riley appointing me to the Teenage Pregnancy Task Force, and from there to state president, 1987 through 89. I feel a little bit like Alice Burney and Phoebe Hearst. Some of the founders, they know. Oh, that's a PTA joke. South Carolina PTA through the years. I hope I can see this light. The South Carolina branch of the National Congress of Mothers, Parents, Teachers Association was organized on March 16, 1923 in Charleston, South Carolina. Mrs. George Lawrence from Charleston was elected the first president. The state branch is now officially recognized as the South Carolina Congress of Parents and Teachers Association, and its logo is Every Child, One Voice. South Carolina PTA ultimate purpose is to enable the children to reach their full potential. SCPTA has supported programs such as childhood education for all children, hot lunch programs, maintaining up-to-date nonfiction books in schools and libraries. Does that ring a bell? Have more work to do. Yeah. Programs teaching students about safety as pedestrians and as bus riders for the health check for students before enrolling in school. South Carolina provides opportunities for parents and teachers, students, citizens who are concerned about the future of our state to contribute to the development of the education of our young people. Programs that sharpen parents' awareness skills about bullying, preventing drug and alcohol abuse, preventing child abuse, where development and encouragement encouraged by local PTA activities. Local PTAs hold health fairs and activities to encourage family fitness and proper nutrition. When there have been national health programs, South Carolina PTA has joined the national PTA in helping families deal with those concerns. During the epidemic, when polio was a concern, the national PTA field tested for soft polio vaccine and won wide acceptance of its use. Children were given the vaccine on sugar cubes as part of PTA's plan for the local school level. Likewise, the national PTA helped guide the state and local PTAs to counter misinformation about HIV and provided educational materials to deal with the parents and educators' concerns. Recently, the COVID epidemic had national and state PTAs working with respective education department and lawmakers to provide safe school environments so that the students and educators could continue their educational efforts. SCPTA has built coalitions with many states, educational groups, for children rallies on the state capitol grounds, and for other legislative activities like supporting Education Improvement Act and the Education Finance Act. Through the years, PTAs have had fun. There have been fall festivals, spring festival, teacher appreciation week, donuts for dads, grandparents celebration, and especially reading challenges to encourage reading for pleasure. And the prize, to dunk the principal if those challenges were met. Fundraising can sometimes become a priority. Who hasn't been a buyer or seller of the bars?
The bars.
Bake sales. Fundraising is all over. Many benefited from the rewards of the donations. Students get to go on field trips. Additional playground equipment is installed, and some new electronic gadgets appear for the student TV shows or Taco Thursday for teachers. South Carolina PTA supports the Gary Feller SCPTA Endowment Fund that offers grants to local units for special projects. The Helen Stokes Scholarship Fund for high school seniors who continue their post-secondary education. South Carolina PTA encourages students at all levels to participate in the National PTA's Reflection Fine Arts Program, where they create original works in art, music, dance, photography, literature, and film based on the national theme. South Carolina PTA has had many national reflection winners. South Carolina PTA continues to be a vital factor in the achievement of higher standards of education in South Carolina through dedicated and sustained efforts for teachers' salaries to meet regional and national standards, for appropriate class size for different classification of students, and for the most part, secure environment for students and educators so that they can continue their education in safety. This celebration of South Carolina PTA's 100 years of service to parents, teachers, students, and the community is our purpose today. Our pledge is to continue our dedication for the future of every child. One voice. Thank you so much.
What an incredible overview of the legacy of our organization. I would like to specifically thank you, Joyce, for your past and present servant leadership to us and to the children. As we recognize the past, it is also vital to look at the future of our organization. Growing leaders is vital to our existence, and all the servant leadership is not about accolades and recognitions. It is so important to recognize the excellence that we do see in our state, so that these individuals and local units can serve as inspiration and motivation for others. So, it has now come to time for our awards section of today's program. First of all, we will start with the Local Unit Awards of Excellence. First up is the Awards of Excellence in Communication and in Family and Community Involvement. And it goes to Somerville High School PTSA. Welcome up.
Can you get a picture too?
Picture.
Next up is the Awards of Excellence in Membership and the Awards of Excellence in Enrichment Programs from Sarah Collins, PTA. And accepting on behalf of them will be their district president. And last but not least, of the local unit awards is the awards in patriotism and in PTSA student involvement. And it goes to Riverside High School PTSA. We also have some individual awards of excellence, and we're going to start off with our Student Volunteer of the Year, Jackson Dilly, Riverside High School. Next up is the Volunteer of the Year, which is Aaron Oberman with East Edison Middle School. Probably mention that he is also in a brand new unit. So you can only imagine what that application looks like. Next up is our Support Staff of the Year, Rachel Colmore from Greenville Senior High School. And she cannot be with us today, so we will recognize her officially and give her a round of applause. But her district president is accepting. Thank you. So not only the state of South Carolina has a Teacher of the Year up here, but PTA also has a Teacher of the Year. And the 2023 South Carolina PTA Teacher of the Year is Ms. Lindsay Syke from Greenville Senior High School. And last but absolutely not least is our Principal of the Year Award. Today, when you've heard our speakers, we talk a lot about the collaboration and having partners. And no successful PTA is successful without a successful, that's a lot of successfuls, without a good relationship with their principal in their school. Because missions and visions are the same, but that open line of communication is vital to our ability to do our job in the school building. So it is an honor to recognize one of the finest in the state of South Carolina. So for the 2023 Principal of the Year, I'd like to welcome up Miss Marissa Watson from Cane Bay Elementary. Chuck said earlier that he goes off script. Well, I am going to too. Did you just say, oh no, back there? Yes. I may have saved the best for last, I think. As it is my honor and privilege to present to two very special awards at this centennial celebration. As we note the 100th anniversary of South Carolina PTA, I am going to present two Presidential Centennial South Carolina PTA Awards. It is in appreciation of two ladies who have served our organization for decades and continue to have vital and strong voices on our board. We would not be South Carolina PTA that we are today if it was not for them. So I'm going to keep it very brief because we could probably have had a celebration for these two ladies alone. But just to give you a quick overview, and I know that neither one of these ladies are someone who seek accolades. But as president, it is really important to me, and with full support of my board, to be able to recognize them formally. So, Martha Knight. president of South Carolina PTA, has served on various roles and capacities, and is our current chairman for the Historic House. She grew up in PTA as her mother was the late Mrs. Edith Knight, who served as a state president between 1965 and 1968. Her love for this house and this organization is treasured. So I am going to meet Ms. Martha to present your award. Thank you.
You're welcome, my darling.
So the other lady would be our current secretary and what we refer to as bylaws extraordinaire expert. That would be Miss Kitty Weichert. She is also a former state president. She grew up here in Columbia area. She has served on the National PTA board, been an advocate for children, driving impact both nationally and here in Columbia and in the state. She is what I think can only be referred to as a PTA legend. And we are so very, very thankful for you.
Not 100 yet, though.
And she is not 100, is what she's saying. We know that. Although we did have a birthday party for her last night as we were preparing for this.
I'm 29 again.
So let's give her a round of applause. Okay, we're now back on program. I am no longer off script. Today, we are dedicating this newly created sidewalk with engraved bricks that represent the 5 levels of PTA involvement: individual, local units, district, state, and national. When an individual joins a local unit, part of the dues pays at the local unit goes to that person's actual membership in the PTA and to the national PTA. The engraved bricks are displayed in the order of one's involvement. Should one choose to do so, to become a PTA member in the local unit, and then at the district PTA level, and then at the state level, and possibly even at the national level. We have been fortunate to have 2 individuals whose talents and leadership and concern for the welfare of all children to become president of the National PTA, Lily Herndon and Chuck. Yay! We've also had a long list of others that have served National PTA as committee members, special project participants, and presenters at the National Convention or Legislative Conference. So, we hope that these engraved bricks of PTA members who have seen the value of caring for all children, whether in your city, your state, your nation, be an invitation to you that you're welcome, you have a value, and you are a contributor for the betterment of all. This sidewalk has been named the Unity Walk for the reasons I just explained. And it takes all of us together to create the great experience for South Carolina's children and youth. So, we talked earlier about it's a question of also looking at the future leadership. I just stepped in, or will be stepping into my original term as president this summer. However, we now have a president-elect that will also step into her role in July. So I have asked our president-elect that will serve alongside me for 2 years before she is the one that gets to stand here and have these conversations with people, Jessica McKinley, to help me. So. I'm not gonna run with sisters, I promise. So the purpose of today is not to have a long formal program where we all sit here for hours at end to talk about all the things that we have done and all the things that we want to do. It's supposed to be a celebration. And that is what we are about to do now. I want you to engage with each other, make connections, tour our amazing house. This is the conclusion of our formal program. And I would like to invite all of you to take whatever pictures we need to do outside, and then please come through the doors. We have a guest book that has been set up with a commemorative pin that is your first step. We would like you to sign it. Talk a little bit with our president-elect who will be sitting at that desk, and then go through the PTA house and see some of our archived historical displays that are in there. And then in the back, we have refreshments, food, and let's have a party. So again, I just want to say thank you to all of you for being here today and for supporting our organization as we look forward to the next century of serving the kids of South Carolina.